what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Check one. Check. Yeah. Sorry, I was just getting like an echo of everything I was saying.
Oh, not a problem. I know that sometimes happens in phones.
Yeah, it can be hard to deliver a thought when you're, getting that echo slapback effect. It can be a little distracting sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's happened to me too, where it's like I'm trying to think of a question, but then I hear myself in the background, and then I can't even think of what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this interview with me. I know we did one a few years back at Summer Slaughter 2013 or 14 when you were promoting the self-titled album, and it's a great honor to be able to promote the brand new album, Great Is Our Sin.
Thank you.
So what went into the songwriting for the new album?
The songwriting process is always sort of a similar one, although the main difference between this one and any of our previous records, we have a new drummer. So he lives in Vancouver, so we'd have to get together basically either over Skype or when we got together in person. We really had to sort of make the most of our time together and actually record all of our ideas that we could both go back and further tweak things on our own time. So that was the main difference. But other than that, the same process that we have on every single record, which basically starts with the riff. For me, I'll get a group of riffs that I'll sort of stockpile over time, and then I'll start to think about what goes with what, put certain sections together, and then sort of the skeletons of those songs will start to form, and then I'll flesh it out more from there.
Oh, very cool. So, in speaking of stockpiling the riffs, do you remember what is the earliest riff that you wrote for the album?
Man, some riffs are actually, there's a riff on there that's actually like super old. The intro riff to the Exaltation, I've had that riff like for fucking ever. And I just like haven't figured out a place to put it. And then I was just sort of playing around with it a lot, and I happened to have like another riff that just like it finally clicked with me, and it just sort of fit together in the perfect way. So the intro riff to the Exaltation is like years old. But I mean, for the most part, it's like a lot of like brand new stuff. But if I have something on there that I really dig, like there might be a riff that it just never found its proper home. And sometimes like I'll kind of grow out of it. I'm like, okay, like if I can't find a place to fit this riff, I'll just sort of do away with it entirely. But there's other times when there's just something about it, no matter how old it is, like I need to find a place for this. It hasn't happened yet, but if I still like it 2 years later or 3 years later, then obviously there must be something to it. So I can kind of use that as a barometer to gauge how strong the material is. If I'm feeling still psyched on it further down the line, there must be something to it then.
Oh, absolutely. And I definitely hear that throughout the new album. I mean, there's so much creativity and diversity going around this time around. Oh, was that a conscious effort to make it even more diverse this time, or was it just natural in the songwriting that you do?
I think it's just natural. We've never been shy to experiment. We've certainly tried different things on each one of our records, and I think through that process, we further kind of define ourselves. So on the new record, it's got our fastest song we've ever written, and it also has our slowest song we've ever written. It's got different atmospheric parts haven't really done before, but maybe you could listen back to previous records and hear certain sort of flirtations with that sound, but never sort of fully fleshed out in quite the way that we've done it on the newest record. So it's just sort of a natural process for us.
Oh, and that's awesome, because I always feel like the greatest music is when you're actually inspired. And it definitely sounds like that on every Revocation album. It definitely sounds very inspired and very different. And I'm glad that you brought up the atmospheric parts about it as well, because I noticed that as well, and I didn't know if that would necessarily work with Revocation, but the more I listen to the album, the more that it truly fits in there as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we like to try different things, and I think adding some different atmosphere can just sort of break up the brutality. So that way, when it comes back in with the heavy stuff, it hits that much harder. I mean, we're fans of all different types of metal, different types of like hard rock bands, and also even further from those genres like classical and jazz that has like lots of different textures to the music and dynamics. So I like to try to bring that into our sound, just to further, I think, define who we are and make our voice that much more unique.
Absolutely, and that's how I first discovered you guys, was from Chaos of Forms, being able to, I got recommended that all those years ago, and like I love the technical and very metal and brutal stuff that was going on there, but I love that there was like a funk section in there. I love that there was like some hard rock moments in there with clean vocals. I loved the turns on the stop of a dime on that album, and I'm glad to see that it's still going on with that experimentation and creativity all the way till now.
Thank you. Yeah, it's sort of, I think you can expect the unexpected with us as a band, and for me as a listener, bands that I've always enjoyed have thrown the listener curveball. So you think the song is going in one direction, and all of a sudden it's going to be this sort of predictable change, and you get hit totally blindsided with with an interesting chord progression, or the field changes up, and that's always made my ears sort of perk up as a listener. In my favorite bands, like, you have to kind of listen intently the whole way through. The second you let your mind wander, all of a sudden, you might have missed something that was really, really cool. So I like to write engaging music for our fans that they can listen to, on multiple paths, and still hear new things, and still make new kind of discoveries along the way.
So when you were first writing for Revocation, was that something that you were inspiring to do from the beginning, or is that just something that just came from the songwriting and you wanted to explore more that way?
So what's the question exactly?
Well, when you started Revocation and being able to make things more unexpected in the music and doing things like On the Stop of a Dime, was that something you were set out to do in Revocation, or did that just come from being in the band and discovering?
Yeah, again, I think it was just a natural process. Each record, I want each record to sound like Revocation, right? To be under the umbrella of our sound. But at the same time, I feel like each one has its own sort of standalone quality, right? We tried different things on Existence Futile, then we tried on Chaos of Form. The EP was sort of its own thing. The self-titled record had its own vibe, but so I like that every record you listen to in our timeline has its own overarching sort of sound and vibe, or personality, whatever you want to call it, but also sounds like Revocation at the end of the day. I think it's just sort of the natural process of the evolution of our sound from album to album.
So for people who haven't had a chance to hear any of the singles that have been released for the new album so far, how would you describe that personality for the new album?
Well, it's very dynamic. It's a very dark and brutal record, but there's some new elements that we've brought to the fold. I think addition of our new drummer Ash, he's added a lot to the music. So the drumming style still fits with Revocation, but he's bringing his own flavor to it that might sound a little bit different in certain parts, whether it's drum fills or just whole drum sections, how he's approached them in a little bit of a different way. So I think that's definitely a standout record in our catalog for sure.
Oh, very cool. And I'm glad that you guys got Ash, because I've been a fan of his drumming for so long, and to me it always felt like it would be a natural fit to have him in Revocation. But when you go back to the older material that Ash hasn't been part of, is he adding his own spin to those songs as well, or is he able to play those note for note?
I mean, it's kind of both. I mean, when we talked about the old songs, like, okay, obviously keep the core drum beats and flows of each section the same, right? Like if a part has the thrash beat, I don't want you playing halftime over that. But as far as like fills go and adding his own layer, we let him kind of do his own thing. So it's not like he has to play every single exact fill note for note. Wants to change the drum fill a little bit to suit his own kind of flavor. We definitely let him have free reign in that regard. But sometimes I think certain drum fills are kind of classic parts of our sound. So in that case, I think he kind of used that judgment where it's like, okay, I'll kind of improvise here, but here, I really like this part, so I'll try and play it note for note. For example, like the drum solo in Sportster's Policy was really, really cool, and Phil, our old drummer, worked really hard on that part, and it came out really cool in the studio. So we play that song live. Ash does play that drum solo sort of note for note every night because it was such a cool part.
So with Ash being in the band, how long did it take until he felt comfortable being able to play shows live?
Well, I mean, we had like he filled in for us on the Cannibal Corpse tour, and we had like one rehearsal like a couple months prior to that even happening. It was basically right in saddle right away. The really, really proficient drummer, got great technical ability, and he's got a great sort of mind for the memorization of the different parts of the song. So it took no time before he was actually jamming with us, playing with us. And actually, our very first rehearsal we had, he like just blew us away. We're like, wow, I can't believe that the first time we're playing together and it sounds this tight.
Oh, in that first rehearsal, when was the moment that you realized that Ash would be a perfect fit?
Well, the first rehearsal, we actually weren't planning on having Ash be in the band at that point. We were sort of in a little bit of a bind because we needed a fill-in drummer. So we weren't really even thinking that far ahead. We were just all impressed with his technical ability. It wasn't until later on when Phil's and the rest of the band parted ways was that we were like kind of thinking like, okay, like who could build his shoes? And we all sort of immediately thought, okay, well, Ash, incredibly tight. He was a great dude to tour with. So it didn't happen until much later on.
Oh, very cool. And of course, you guys are going to be heading out very soon for Summer Slaughter 2016, and it is a very killer setup this time around. How does it feel to be a part of Summer Slaughter again?
We're really, really excited. We had a blast on the last slaughter that we did. This year's lineup is incredibly brutal. I mean, it's basically just death metal through and through. So we're looking forward to playing some of our heavy material on that tour and just hanging out with a bunch of our friends.
Oh, very nice. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I know that's going to be coming to the Caboose, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it's been way too long since I've seen you guys, so I cannot wait to see how you guys sound with Ash in the band.
Thanks. Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. We love playing Minneapolis. We've got a bunch of friends there. Of course, Surly Brewery will probably be hitting that up either before the show or the day after, so really can't wait.
Oh yeah, Surly is one of the best beer companies around.
Oh yeah.
So after Summer Slaughter, is there any plans for anything coming up?
Yeah, we're going to be going out, actually doing a full tour of Europe with the Beyond Creation and Rivers of Nile, so that's just like a tech death metal nerd dream right there. I think we're all going to be sharing a bus together, so we'll be rolling through all these different European cities on that one. Then after that, we're planning on doing like a headliner, co-headliner type of thing for like late fall / like early winter, but that's not set in stone yet, but we're kind of making the initial plans for that now.
Oh, that'd be very cool when that comes to full fruition. And I wish that European tour would come here because that sounds like an absolutely incredible lineup. I know Obscura does have some problems being able to come to America, but I know the European fans would absolutely love that tour.
Yeah, they're great. I was actually going to fill in for Obscura when they were supposed to play Summer Slaughter last year, but yeah, they had these problems, so it didn't work out. But yeah, I was planning on going in for them, and I've been a fan for Obscura since they basically started, and just working on their material gave me an extra added appreciation for their music, obviously, because you're really learning the parts, seeing how clever the different changes are, like we were sort of talking about those twists and turns and curveballs and whatnot. So we've got quite a lot of that in their music. So the challenge to learn that stuff. So unfortunately, I didn't get to fill in, but I'm looking forward to just touring with them and going out and traveling around Europe and getting to see that band perform every night. So really, really excited.
Oh, very much so. And I didn't realize that you were actually slotted to be able to fill in for Obscura. How long did it take you to be able to get those parts down?
I had I think just under 2 weeks notice. So I was just working on that stuff for between 4 and 6 hours a day, just trying to get everything prepared, and it was quite a challenge. We never actually had a rehearsal because, like I said, they had their visa issues. But yeah, it's very, very, very challenging material.
When you were learning those songs, did you pick up on any new techniques that you never worked on before?
Yeah, there were certain parts that that's why I think it's so good to learn other people's material, because they're going to obviously approach it in different ways than you might be approaching things. So there were certain tricky sections where whether it was like a tapping technique thing or just like general picking pattern or left hand fretting pattern that we for a loop here and there, but it was really cool to tackle that material.
Did any of that rub off on you when you were making the new album?
I think by that point a lot of the material had already been sort of written and fleshed out, so I think some of it rubbed off, but yeah, like I said, it was just like a fun challenge to try and learn that stuff.
Oh, very much so. I mean, I try to do the same thing when it comes to the drums as well, and Obscura was one of those bands that really opened my eyes to trying to be creative when it comes to technical music, because there is so much ground that you can cover. And when I discovered you guys in Revocation being able to explore that in a little bit different territory with all the different styles and changes that you guys do, and it's always good to have that creative mind to be able to do new changes and open your minds to new music, because you never know what's going to inspire you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so much great music out there, and try and borrow from other genres, whether it's played around with different Latin style beat, stuff like that, or more kind of like a fusion type of beat here and there, especially on the new record. So I think it's cool to kind of incorporate those different styles into metal to just sort of further expand what the boundaries of that genre are, and to try to rewrite what the rules are in a way. And I think we definitely certainly expanded the parameters of our sound with the new record, because we played around with a lot of those different sort of flavors, I guess you'd say, or feels. Is
there any particular artist that really inspired you when it came to the songwriting this time around?
Not one in particular. I've been listening to a lot of kind of weird, out there death metal and black metal. Certainly there's a lot of cool modern thrash bands and older thrash bands that I can just go back to listen to for sources of inspiration, as well as, like I said, like jazz or classical music. So it's not one particular artist. It's more of a sort of a collection of a lot of different musicians.
Oh, very cool. So when you're listening to music, are you able to just kick back and relax and listen to the music, or do you always have your ear on what they're doing and trying to be able to figure out what they're playing?
I don't know. I try to turn my musician brain off when I'm listening to stuff, right, so I can sort of enjoy it. But sometimes it's hard to associate the player from just like the average listener. Because you're trying to like think about like, oh, what's he doing there and what's happening here. But I try to turn my brain off when I can to enjoy it. I find that happens more with music that I grew up with, like so that has like a certain amount of nostalgia for me. I can just kind of enjoy it because it brings me back to almost like a period of my life, or triggers a certain memory. Not even really thinking about the music, but that the sort of the feeling that music made me feel way back when I was first getting into a band. But I can kind of enjoy it both ways, right? It's sometimes cool to. I think you get a deeper appreciation for something sometimes when you actually sit down and learn it. Like, oh, that's really clever. Like doing this there. That there's this change that happened there. It's very kind of unexpected and out of the ordinary. So sometimes it can kind of deepen your appreciation for the music. But sometimes it's cool to just totally listen to something as a fan and just try to not think about the playing at all. Just really try to experience it on an emotional level. But it can be tricky sometimes.
Oh yeah. And is there any bands that you've been checking out lately that are new to you?
Not necessarily new to me, but the new Wormed record is really great. I'm talking about that a lot in the press. I think it's fantastic. From what I've heard, the new Defeat Insanity record is really cool. The new Gorguts record, it's like that one long song EP. Yeah. I thought that was really, really interesting. As far as like outside the metal realm, newest Esperanza Spalding record is amazing. I'm like obsessed with that. She's an amazing vocalist and bass player. I love her record. I was listening to it's an older record, but jamming Jonathan Kreisberg trioing record. That's really cool. The newest Liberty Ellman record, Radiate's great. So a lot of metal, a lot of jazz. Kind of draw inspiration from different sources.
Oh yeah, and I love seeing that creativity as well, being able to hear all of those different artists along with it. And sometimes it's just nice to be able to just relax and listen to it, and sometimes without even thinking about it, something will just strike a chord with you and it just might inspire a next great song.
Yeah, and actually there's one more band, just talking about relaxing and listening to a band. There's this band called Actor, with a K. They're from Finland, and I believe it's the vocalist of Dawnbringer as well. So it's kind of like spread out across a couple different countries. Or I think Dawnbringer's from the U.S., if I'm not mistaken. But they're just like straight up like old school, like heavy metal, like rock mixture, like almost like Judas Priest meets like Thin Lizzy. Just the vibe is right. Like certain throwback bands sort of sound like, I don't know, like they're not really pushing the genre anywhere. But this band, the record's called Paranoia. And it's absolutely fantastic. It sort of hits all the right notes for me and makes me feel like it's one of those sort of nostalgic bands, even though the record came out in 2015. There's some really interesting riffs there. It has like a classic feel to it, but the riffs are unique and bring something new to the table. And they've got a keyboard player as well that adds really interesting textures to the parts. And as far as like a straight up like non-crazy technical record, just like a solid rockin' album, check out. That's one that I've been getting a lot. I think that record came out in 2015.
Awesome. I'm not familiar with those guys, so that's inspiring me to go check them out. I mean, it sounds like something that
they're a really underground band. I believe members of Circle, with like this weird like Finnish rock band, do a lot of like every record they put out is different sounding. So we'll hear some of those guys tackle just like a more traditional hard rock, old school heavy metal kind of approach.
Awesome. So of course you guys are known for doing some very cool covers in the past. Do you have any songs in mind that you'd like to cover in the future?
At this point, I mean, we've always gone back and forth on different bands. We don't have any exact songs that we're thinking about for next time. We kind of generally rack our brains and put our heads together maybe like a couple months before when we record the next record. We're so focused on working on the actual material that we have to record that the cover is usually the last thing that we talk about learning. So I'm sure we'll figure out something for next time. But it can be kind of tricky because like there's these certain classic records, and sometimes you want to pay homage to them. Sometimes you want to just sort of not even like the production's already really good, or you just don't even want to touch them. But with Slayer, we're all just such big Slayer fans, and wanted to kind of pay our respects to Jeff Hanneman on the newest record. So we all decided to do that Altar of Sacrifice cover, just because, like I said, we're all such Slayer fans, and Slayer's such a classic, influential thrash metal band.
Yeah, and to me it is great homage to be able to do that, and I think it's a great way to close out the album as well, being able to pay homage to Jeff Hanneman like that.
Yeah, we put a lot. Anytime we do a cover, we want to try to keep it close to the original, but at the same time, you like kind of put our own stamp on it. And you know, it can be a real challenge to deliver that overall vibe of capturing that vibe that was on the initial record. We want to do it justice, so it can be a challenge. I mean, every cover we've done, I think we've learned something from it. You know, we've done Morbid Angel, we've done Metallica, we've done Faith No More, and now we're doing Slayer. So I think you learn a lot from doing these covers, and yeah, it's just kind of cool to pay homage to bands that were really influential to you, and hopefully you can kind of do those songs justice in your own way.
So when you covered playing the new Slayer song that ends the album, was there anything that stuck out to you that you hadn't learned before when covering Slayer, or did it just feel natural to be able to play that?
I mean, you know, some of the solos, right, are so aggressive. So trying to capture, I didn't play them like note for note or anything, but it was kind of a cool challenge to write my own solos for the Slayer song, but include some of those classic licks that are still there. A lot of it's like weird, like dive bomb stuff like that. So capture the S, but at the same time do your own thing was a challenge. And that song is actually like really fucking fast. So playing just the vocal delivery on that song was a little bit tricky because it's so rapid fire. You kind of listen to it and take for granted, I guess, like how fast it is kind of going by and kind of jamming out music. But actually delivering those vocals in the studio was a little bit tricky because it's just so unrelenting in certain parts. And
yeah, I also wanted to ask about that before we close out the interview about being able to sing and play guitar at the same time with the power that and technical ability that you have behind it. How long did it take for you to master being able to do both at the same time?
It takes a while. It's hard to say because I've been doing it for so long. I think you kind of get better at it every release. But I mean, there's certainly still songs that are tricky for me. If not just outright like incredibly hard to play because the riff is in one kind of rhythmic feel, and then the vocals be doing a counteracting rhythm to that. So it's hard to separate your brain like that. I think it just takes practice, and also trying to set it up in different ways where maybe sometimes one guitar could be doing something a little bit simpler, and the other guitar could be adding in more of a technical part over it. So, for example, like the chorus from our last record, A Dead Ode to the Grave, get this crazy arpeggio section over it, but I'm just laying down whole note power chords basically underneath it, so I can sing whatever rhythm I want, and Dan can be doing more of the technical stuff there. So you can find a balance, but there's certainly going to be parts where it's just a really technical riff and a hard vocal line to sing, and it's a matter of taking it slow with the metronome and trying to work your way up to the target tempo.
Was there any songs like that on the new album?
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's parts that are easier to sing, and there's parts that are harder to sing for sure. And sometimes it's funny, like sometimes parts that think are going to be easier to sing end up being harder, and then there's parts when you're like, oh man, it's such a pain in the ass to sing. Like it's like two contradictory rhythms here. For some reason, it just sort of works, and your brain can just make it happen. And so it's kind of almost hard to predict what's going to be the easy ones and what's going to be the hard ones. You don't really know and start to do it. Because generally, for me, like I write the riff out, so that the song will be written, then I'll write the lyrics, and I'll start to kind of think about vocal patterns, and I'll have kind of both ideas in my head. I'm like, okay, this is the riff, and this is what I want the vocal pattern to be. And sometimes it won't be until I actually go to like rehearse it, like we're going to be playing the song live, that I've actually trying to work those both out together. It's like, oh crap, I put this really tricky riff with this hard vocal line together on the record, and now I'm trying to sing this live, so it'd be a challenge.
Oh yeah, I can imagine so, but I definitely say it paid off with the new album. It's easily one of the best albums of 2016. I cannot wait to see how you guys are sounding with Ash at Summer Slaughter and all the future endeavors that you have with the band. And thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. Before we're done, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
No, I think you covered everything. Thanks for the great interview. And I'll just say to any of our fans that are listening, please go out and support us, pick up the new record, and come see us out on tour. We're really looking forward to playing material live for you guys.